Good afternoon, Thursday, August 15th, I believe, today, 2024, here in Sarasota, Florida. That is the Gregorian matrix date, and the date on the 13 moon galactic Dreamspell calendar is magnetic 21, the 21st day of the first month, the magnetic bat moon of purpose in the blue rhythmic storm year in that particular time tracking system. All right, today's video 23 out of 30 in a series I've titled Touching the Soul Through the Heart, Body, and Mind. Today's video topic, today's title is going to be It's All About the Energy, which also just so happens to be the tagline for my little company of me. It's all about the energy. The energy, the mental energy, the physical energy, the emotional energy, the spiritual energy. We are beings of energy. It's all about the energy. Now, yesterday, I opened the door just a little bit to perhaps the trickiest topic of all to talk about, money, which, hello, is just energy. Money is not inherently good. It's not inherently evil. Money just is. Remember, nothing is inherently good or evil. We as humans define everything together. And what more of us come together to co-create, more of us come together to agree upon is how something becomes down on earth. Those are earth truths. Now remember, I'm on a mission to find the biggest truths, the truths with a capital T, the truths that are true for all of us on a level beyond the earth plane. One of them is it boils down to energy. Everything boils down to energy on this planet, in this realm, in these bodies. And yesterday, I opened the door to one of the trickiest topics of energy, money. People, I guarantee, well, there's not that many people watching right now, but should that video happen to be seen by a lot of people, the large percentage would probably be triggered by even me talking just as limitedly as I did about this topic of money, and specifically related to me and my personal goals. And sort of, I revealed what I have left on my mortgage. I revealed a individual goal for my company that I have for the upcoming 13 months. I shared I shared some specifics. This is only the beginning when I'm going to begin to do this. Now, there's multiple meanings and reasons and purposes to discuss money. But the first thing we have to kind of have on the table and put out there is that money is just energy. And the energy that had defined my relationship with money in this lifetime was primarily dominated prior to my spiritual awakening by poverty consciousness. This is a concept that I only learned about in 2013. In fact, I'm going to include the audio version of a written blog post that I did in 2013. I'm going to include that in the description of this video. And the title of that, it was originally a written blog post, and the audio is just me simply reading aloud what I hand wrote first. And the title of it is Leaving Poverty Consciousness Behind. I wasn't even familiar with this term, poverty consciousness. And in a nutshell, what poverty consciousness says is that regardless if you have a lot of money or a little bit of money, if you are operating from poverty consciousness, you are acting and operating from lack. Like it's your relationship to money that defines. It's not about the quantity. It's not about how little or how much one has. It's about one's relationship to money. And I would argue that this entire realm is dominated by lack and poverty consciousness. And I happen to come from parents, both sides of the family, I believe, were heavily, we'll just say, weighted down also by this concept of poverty consciousness. We were always, you would have thought that we were on food stamps. We were never on food stamps, and I'm not at all judging folks on food stamps, but I'm saying we were definitely middle class. We were definitely lower middle class. And once my dad left and my mom was a single mom of 3 kids under the age of 9, you better believe that that energy of just poverty, like we were barely surviving, dominated, absolutely dominated my home life without doubt. And that lasting effect is one of the primary belief patterns that I had to break. Now, when I had my spiritual awakening, a huge part of the spiritual awakening is understanding and knowing the abundance that is the natural way of things. Life itself is abundant. There is plenty to go around. The lack that we have on this planet, again, my opinion, I would make a strong case for the fact that that has been controlled and done very purposely. So when I had my awakening, man, I absolutely aligned and understood and saw and welcomed this idea of abundance. But it was going to take more than a little bit of time to break this very deep-rooted issue of poverty consciousness. Shortly after 2013's discovery of this term, poverty consciousness, I discovered another quotation, and I can't remember who said this. I don't remember where this came from, but it was basically saying that money is a personality multiplier, meaning if you have a ton of money, it's only going to exaggerate what your natural personality already is. If you happen to be somebody who's kind of a tightwad, really selfish, really constricted, really isolated, really honed in, really operating from poverty consciousness and fear and lack. If you have all the money in the world, you're going to still operate like that. You're going to be tight. You're going to be distrusting. You're going to be, guarded. You likely will never believe that you have enough. It's just going to exponentially exemplify or highlight your already natural tendencies. If you're on the other side of that spectrum and your natural personality, your natural wiring is more compassionate and generous and, expansive and giving, and you, a person with that sort of personality wiring, somehow finds themselves having a bunch of money, then that person is going to act in the same way with a lot of money, and they're going to tend to be equally, the money is going to get spread more around. It's just a personality multiplier. When I first read that also instantly made sense. And I know for a fact, because of how well I know me, I know that I'm the latter description. I am naturally and unbelievably generous, compassionate, giving, and now that I understand abundance, I know to what degree that when, and I will say when I begin in these next 13 months to start to draw in more money, more energy through the specific way of money, I know for a fact that it's going to be shared. It's my nature. It's why this project of ripple2020.world, check out the website. There's plenty of it described on the website, even though that website isn't done yet. Ripple2020.world. This is the project that is going to get off the ground. And the whole nature of the project is me serving as a conduit for a ton of money. Now, that project is not intended to be money I earn. It's think of me being in the new way we look at things. Remember, I'm looking at redefining everything. I'm looking at making something uniquely up that suits me. We pay financial planners and stockbrokers. We pay them money in our current paradigm to be the broker, to be the conduit. People with a lot of money, people with all sorts of different levels of money go to a financial planner, they go to a stockbroker, they go to an investor, they give them a ton of money and they trust them to invest their money and to make them money on their investments in the current system. My project is intended to be a different twist on the same sort of thing. Instead of, I'm not looking to make people's large amounts of money huge interest. I'm looking to demonstrate with a lot of people giving $2, this much, and looking to show a totally different sort of money flow investment stream, a totally different ROI, return on investment. And I, just like the stockbroker, just like the financial planner, I'm only the conduit. The only difference is for this particular project, I will not earn a penny. I will not take a penny for this first round. And I'll add that caveat because there is a chance that I could duplicate this project and do it again if it goes well. And if it does, then likely there will be a percentage taken. But to begin with, this project, no money. It's going to be 100% transparent. Alyson does not make a penny. Alyson is simply a conduit of this money. Okay, that's very different than Alyson being out in the world and earning her own money through her own company, doing her greatest skill sets and gifts, and having that exchange of energy out in the world that comes in the form of money. I will guarantee you that even when that starts coming, a huge amount of that is going to be dedicated to putting back out in the world in pay it forward ways, because that is what my personality is about. That is what I established on day one, moment one of my company of me. Remember, I did not start by asking for money from others and an investment in. I started my company of me with conscious investment, pay it forward investment into others. I did so with full awareness, full understanding of what I was doing, and huge purpose to show that you can operate a for-profit business in a very different way, move money in a very different way, pay it forward versus pay it back, because it's all about the energy, and the energy of money moving forward is very different, in my opinion, than the energy moving back. Paying it back is backwards. Paying it forward is a totally different sort of energy. Hence the name of the project, Ripple 2020. 2020 is a reason. We'll come to that if it's not already obvious, because clearly that was a pretty world-changing year for a lot of us. Ripple, rippling forward. That is what the energy of Alyson Nouné is about in every way, shape, and form. Now, not only did I open the door in yesterday's video to this tricky topic, tricky, triggering topic of money, but I also opened the door to speaking a little bit and referencing the deep wounds, the poverty consciousness wounds that defined my childhood. But in addition to the poverty consciousness wounds, the energetic limitations. Now, before I say this, please understand, this isn't about blame. This isn't about playing the victim, not in any way, shape, or form. And remember, soul planning. I believe that I chose this. I chose my parents. I chose the energy dynamics that would dominate my home for huge reasons. That is for another video. But remember, what I'm about to share is not intended to be an attack on my parents. It's not intended to be an attack or a judgment of anybody close to me in my past. It's not about playing the victim, and it's not about blame. It's about understanding the energy at all of its nuanced layers, and most of it is unseen. So it is a tricky, deep, nuanced thing to live, to experience, to study, to share. Okay? The way that my family showed love was by criticism, specifically my dad. My dad does not really know how to show love and support. in any way but to criticize. That's the only way he knows how to do it. He's got to play devil's advocate. He's got to find everything wrong. It's the only way he knows how to do it. And now, as an adult, and after finally doing all the work, I can deal with that. I'm not as triggered by it. I understand. I'm able to be my own self validator. I don't need him to pat me on the back. But as a kid growing up, and I know I'm not the only one for whom these dynamics I'm beginning to give voice to apply to. I know it. I know I'm not the only one out there. So from my dad, more so than my mom, but my mom also highly critical, critical, never feeling as if you're good enough, always finding what could go wrong, always, fear-based, critic-based, poverty consciousness based. It was never was there the cheerleading. Never was there just blind support because I'm their kid. And listen, again, I chose that for a really big reason. But having that sort of energy from your immediate family meant that I was on my own pretty much from, well, as long as I can remember. Really, when I started to get really big ideas, when I started to really do well, and it still was never good enough, I had to begin. I mean, all I can say is that there was lots of dark years, lots of dark years to finally getting to where I am today. And not only that, the foundational pattern energetically was set. That meant that I really didn't understand how to even be supported energetically by people close to me. I didn't really understand a love relationship that wasn't dominated first by fear and judgment. I didn't really understand what it was to have people close to me cheering me on and not be afraid by what I was doing, threatened by what I was doing, upset by what I was doing. There were so many layers of not good being directed every time my excited ass got excited about a different subject and a different topic. And again, remember, previous video, Alyson never focuses on one thing. I didn't as a kid either. I played every sport. I played music with the sports as long as I could. I excelled in every subject. I was valedictorian. I was an all-A student. I majored in two things, graduate degree, I minored in two things. Like, it's always been a lot. And yet nothing was ever good enough. And I never really had close network of people that were in my corner. Well, I wasn't even really knowing what I was doing. Like I wasn't living proactively. I was sort of blindly achieving, and I was pushing through tremendous motivation to I'm not sure what. I didn't really know until I had the awakening and the self love piece, and I began to just dive deep within about everything and seeking the answers from within. Okay, so I dance all around that only because once you do the work within, that's all well and good. And I can honestly say the self-love and self-acceptance I have is real and deep and high and practiced now. I always had a pretty high level of confidence, but it's funny how your confidence gets knocked down when everybody close to you basically still tells you you're not good enough. Who are you to think that, you're going to do this or you're going to achieve this? And again, they're not like that present day exactly. Dad still pretty much only knows how to critique with love. He doesn't really know how to support with words. I can now read his actions a little bit better, and I know that he cares and he loves me. It's just, holy crap, would it have made a difference to actually have one parent, if not both, in my corner when I was young? But they didn't know what to do with me, and they had their hands full because, again, my mom was a single mom with 3 kids under 9. She didn't have any energy for anything, and dad obviously had his own issues by leaving his family, leaving the house. He was still in our lives, but leaving the day-to-day nature of having a family. Clearly my parents had their hands full with their own stuff. So it really wasn't about me. But young kids don't know that. Again, another reason why I'm trying to give voice to some of these things, because there are young people on YouTube that may stumble upon these things, and it will get tighter. It will get better. I will get more succinct. But right now, I'm just trying to get it all out there and say things and give myself permission to talk about my own story and not worrying about how somebody who might hear it will react if they hear something that they know is about them. But nobody in my family watches my work or supports my work. So I don't have to worry about anybody in my family watching anything. They don't watch anything. None of my cousins, none of my aunts and uncles, nobody watches or supports anything. So I'm free to give voice to my story without feeling so bad about doing that. Because again, I'm not trying to attack anyone, but I am trying to give voice to the very real work it is to heal poverty consciousness, to heal lack of self love, to heal criticizing words and not words of support and being your own worst enemy. You've got to heal that. Then you have to go out in the world and live it. Then you need to start demanding it in work and in relationships, in all relationships, because you've now trained your relationships to accept a dynamic that is not serving you. I did not know that. So all my relationships, and I didn't know how to give myself voice of value. All of that has taken a huge shift in the past 18 months as I finally start giving myself voice first and foremost in my event world industry. And it took me a long time. Years ago, I should have asked for a daily rate raise. Years ago, I have been bringing and doing the work of 2 to 3 people at every race I've ever worked for. I should have been asking for a substantial amount of more money many years ago, given what I bring to the table. So now that as I do that, I'm seeing different opportunities and different things manifest. It happens. Your world changes. Your external world changes as your internal world changes. And that's an excellent place to end because the very first tagline for my company of me, this is a little embarrassing to admit, but it sort of speaks to my spiritual egotism and how big, like everyone goes through sort of spiritualized ego phase when you have an awakening. My first tagline was achieving world peace in 1 year's time, because I've always wanted to change the world. About 3 years into my awakening process, I learned for good, you don't change the outside world. You change your inside world and you watch your external world change. And that is also how collective change on our planet will happen. We've got to have a whole bunch of individuals heal themselves and change internally, and collectively, we will begin to see a changed world externally. All right? Hence the changed tagline, which has not changed again since 2013 when I developed this one. About this time in 2013, it became, it's all about the energy. All right. More tomorrow. Thanks for watching. Have a great night.